Yeah, the other thing, I think when it comes to, let's call it religion, spirituality, self-improvement, self-help, whatever you want to call it, I think we often get lost in like a maze of books and information, and often we can end up sort of in our minds and in the cranial part of our brains. And what I've come to understand in my sort of deconstruction and in deconstructing on a lot of things is that I've come to see our brains are great for certain things, but our brains are not good at processing the deeper things of life. I call them the D's: disillusionment, discouragement, death, divorce. And I've been through a lot of those different things. I've literally buried every single person in my family. I'm pretty much one of the last or few standing. And yeah, those are not easy things. And our brains don't have the bandwidth or the software for that. And those are where you got to process things from the soul. So I think a lot of our worldviews and a lot of our things that we're doing, they often to give us certitudes. Number one, so that we can believe and find ourselves on the winning team, and one day hopefully make it into the country club in the sky and we get a ticket and everything's going to go well. But I think at best a lot of these things we construct, you could possibly even call them idols if you'd like. A lot of these things that we construct at best are just evacuation plans from reality. And I think for me, that's what my life has demanded and commanded of me in the last sort of 7 years. I've just had to face reality head on, and there's been nowhere to hide from that. And that's been an amazing journey in and of itself, because I think the portals and the doorways and the gateway, and a gateway is essentially a transition point from one reality to the next. I think a lot of these transition points, they come in packages we don't like. They come in the packages of the D's, they come in the hardships. And it's as we walk through those and we navigate through those things, we come into wide open spaces and we develop an emotional bandwidth, and call it a spiritual bandwidth, where we're no longer trying to impose reality into the small boxes that we've constructed, the small ideas that we believe reality needs to be, but we become participators with reality, and we become cooperators with reality, and we start to find ourselves that we're a small part of a big picture, and we start to find that there's this flow that starts to happen. Now listen, I'm no different to anybody else. I'm batshit crazy on Monday morning at 10 o'clock, especially when I'm behind my laptop, I'm trying to launch rockets, I'm trying to get stuff done. But at the end of the day, there's times when I'm in the flow and out the flow. And there's a lot that I've come to understand in how we can enter into the flow and ways in which we can participate and cooperate with that flow, whatever you want to call it. Call it whatever you like, but let's get rid of the labels. Let's get rid of gay and straight and in and out, and Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, all these things. At the end of the day, we're all people, and there's things we don't govern. None of us govern the sun and the moon. None of us govern the wind. And I think that's what, you know, and I won't apologize for a bias that I carry from my experiences with the Christ, is that he often pointed us to the natural order, to the things around us. Look at the birds, look around you, look at the flowers. And sometimes one of the most helpful gateways and portals through which we enter into our own hearts, into the garden of our own souls, is through the created order. And that's a big thing for me, but we'll talk a lot more about that later. Thanks for joining me.